Right, okay, so master fader, master fader, master fader. I'll try and make this quick. Oh, nice. Okay. So I'm going to use my mouse for this. I've hooked up my mouse and I'm just going to quickly run through basically how master fader works. Now this is just a blank screen of master fader. I've actually got this downloaded to my laptop. Um, Now bear in mind this is master fader 5.1. What I currently use on my device is 5, so you don't need to worry necessarily about that because you guys are going to be on 5.1 when you get it, and that's all fine. I've opted to stay on Master Fader 5 because um, that's what I need for now, and I've got a few events and da 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 da. But yeah, you guys will use 5.1, and obviously when the next version comes up, when you choose to upgrade and take advantage of whatever's there, then you will. Long story short, I'm just going to give you an overview. So obviously this is a mixing desk. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of is the layout. That's the first thing you need to figure out when you're using a new piece of software. Now, this particular layout here, you'll see that yes, you've got the mixing desk and there's lots of different things and pictures and so on and so forth. But this is actually broken down into two sections. Well, three, but two really. The first section you'll see is the main part. This is what attracts everybody's eye. And what you're looking at here is you're looking at the actual channels, like channels 1 to 32. You've obviously got the faders, and as you can see, it highlights them in yellow when you selected one. Or if you're doing something in one, you can click on 3. I'm clicking on 3 now, nothing's happening. But when I actually do something, it highlights it in yellow. Um, and you've obviously got the different functions, so mute, panning, and these two here, this section just slightly above here will show you um, your gate and your compressor, and these are going to be very important when you're looking at your channel in an overview. This section here with the white line through and the green background, that's actually showing you it's showing you your EQ, but because there isn't an EQ in there at the moment, it's just got a single line through, but you'll be able to see that. The top part here is showing you your gain and your trim, your gain, sorry, and it's also showing you whether or not you have the 48 volt button turned on. So that's the first section. It'll always, no matter how where you scroll and what you're doing, it'll always show you the main channel here on the right hand side, and that'll stay in the same place regardless of what happens over here. And again, you've got the control parameters that are important for that section in front of you right there. So this top part here just symbolizes how many things are going into your main output, and if you had your main speakers connected, it'll just be telling you, for example, what channels are in there, what subs, da da da. So if you clicked on that, it'll take you to that page, and likewise, as you can see there and then straight away, it's got the different channels. If they're highlighted in gray, it means that is going straight to your main. If it's not in gray, it means no matter what you do on the actual channel, that won't go to your main. So there are scenarios where you would want to do that, but we'll go into that later on. For now, you'll obviously leave everything in gray, because if you turn that channel up, you'll want to know that it will definitely go up in the mains. It'll also quickly show you what we call VCAs and mute groups, and again we'll go into that a bit later on. Again, these are just parameters that are quite important for you to look at a glance, and as you learn, you'll see why these parameters are really important. So don't worry too much about them for now. So remember, I said this is divided into 3 sections. So that's the main one. The second section that you need to look at is this section here. Now this section here, as you can see at the top, it's actually, these are things that you'll need to access quickly. So for example, if you need to access your mute groups, this is a mute group, and what mute groups are, there's nothing that's been set up yet, but what mute groups are is if you wanted to quickly mute everything that's happening within a group of items. So for example, the entire drum kit, you can set up a mute group, select everything that's within that you want to put in that group, and if you wanted to quickly mute it and it was number 1, you could do that, and you could quickly mute that group. And just to illustrate, I'll show you what I mean very quickly. So for example, you've got your 6 mute groups up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say you wanted your first mute group to be your drums. I'll just quickly type that in. Um, and your drums were on, there's your kick, your snare, your hi-hat, your first tom, second tom, floor tom, first overhead, second overhead. That's all 8 channels. And if these were named, by the way, you'd actually see the actual names in there. So it would add kick, snare, da da da, but we'll go through that. This is just for illustration purposes. And if I shut that down, automatically you see that the drums are there. So if I wanted just to mute all the drums, it muted them straight away. So these could all have different levels, etc. And the kick could be here, the snare could be there, the hi-hat could be there, the first tom, second tom, floor tom, uh, and you have your overheads. Obviously these are panned left and right. If this was a real scenario, you might have this panned slightly to the right. You might have the hi-hat and the snare panned. I'm just giving you an idea. Once you hit that mute group of drums, it would mute them all. You could do the same thing with singers. It's just a case of going back in here and setting it all back up that way. And you can also have what they call multi-select. So if you wanted to select drums, singers, da 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 at the same time, you just highlight that. But if you don't want to, you just want to be able to do one thing at a time. What happens is once you've muted the drums, it'll mute them. But if you don't have multi-select selected, if you switch across on a single select, it will unmute whatever you've just muted. And this is good for things like sound check. Say you've done all the the drums, or you've done all the singers and you want to now mute them, and you want to now concentrate on the drums. If you were to silence all the singers, it would silence the singers, but then it would release the drums, and then you can tell the drummer to go. So it's just really quick, intuitive things. This is one of the things I like about Master Fader. It's just they thought ahead, if that makes sense. Again, if you want to none, and it'll just remove a mute off everything. The second thing here, remember this is the second section we're talking about, is this is a very important. So you know how we spoke about you can send a mix to your live stream, you can send a mix to your monitors, you can send a mix to another room if you wanted to, maybe the children's ministry, so the minders can hear the word. You can send a mix to an overflow. And have different volume levels for different things, and you could give somebody a tablet and say, okay, you'll be in the overflow, you can control whatever volumes you want whilst you're here, so that we don't have to worry about it whilst we're in the main hall. You can do that because you can have up to 20 devices connected at any given time. So yeah, this section here just allows you to toggle in between. So notice how main is white, it's the color white, and once I'm on here, everything here shows as white. Even if I go into here, which is just an overview, you'll see that around each and all the channels, it's got a grayish kind of color, but that's the white color. Okay, I'm gonna come back into here. If I went, say, into aux 1, as you can see, aux 1 is red. Everything lights red. So I can't make the mistake of thinking I'm in the main when I should be in aux 1, sorry, and I think I'm in the main, and I start making adjustments only to find I've been changing someone else's item. And again, these can all be renamed, so you can sorry, you can name this drums, and that's fine, and it's named. If someone else was connected, they'd automatically see the change that you've made straight away. As you're typing, they'll be able to actually see, oh look, oh yeah, drums are. It's pretty cool in that sense. But the cool thing about it is when you go into the overview and you want to have a look at all the different sounds, because this is the overview screen. If you're in drums, everything will highlight red, but it'll also tell you here which one you're looking at, because obviously these two are the same. You can change these colors, by the way. You don't have to stick to the reds. You can make that blue, you can make that green, you can make it whatever. There's a whole load of colors that are invested in this thing. So you don't have to stick with this. I think they just put in default colors just to let people know, but you can change the colors, make them whatever you want. And again, you can actually mute things from here. Now notice the only place where we wrote drums on the mute, it doesn't translate those words here. So this will always say mute group 1. So when you're in this screen, you'll have to always remember that. Hang on a second. My mute group is drums, and if you forget, by all means, just click there and it'll tell you right there that your mute group is one is drums. So if you ever wanted to mute all the drums and you were on this screen, rather than faffing around and going into here and trying to do it from there, if you're on the main overview screen and you're watching everything, making sure everything's fine, and you hear something wrong, you can just mute all the drums from there, and it'll also show you in the channel here that it's muted. Another cool thing you can do, this overview screen is fully customizable. So if you're in here and you're just checking the overall levels, you can actually make changes to the individual channels by muting them individually from here, so you don't have to keep bouncing between screens. You can also adjust the levels here as well. And you can solo them if you want to listen to them from the headphones. If you're standing next to the console or you have a wireless item plugged in, you can be wherever you are, hit solo, and because it's wireless, you can actually hear from where you are. So that's pretty cool. Another cool feature, say you've soloed everything here, and you soloed a few things, and then someone taps you on the shoulder and says, oh, can you lower this? And then you go back into the mains, and you do whatever you do, you lower it, and then you think, gosh, right, what was I doing before? And you've gotten yourself in a muddle. Right here at the very top, can you see that solo there? You can clear all the solos, so that if you forgot what you soloed when you were listening to the mix for the drummer, for example, and you soloed that, you just go in there and you can clear the solos, put your headphones back on, and know you're starting from a clean slate. And that will show this symbol for now, but when you solo something, it'll say the word solo at the top as it did earlier on. So I'm going to solo that, and as you can see, you can clearly see you've got something on solo. You can come in here and you can clear that solo, and it's done. So that's a pretty cool thing about Master Fader. So you can go into any one of these sections here, and you can have a look to see what's going on in there. Remember, the musicians will be controlling their own mixes. Everyone else can control their own mix, but it doesn't stop you from going in and having a look. Plus, you still have the overview of the things like the EQ, the compression and the gate. You've got the overview of the 48-volt phantom power, whether it's turned on there anyway. So you don't have to keep coming in and out to see where you're at. So that's the next section. The last section here is this particularly deals with the actual uh, main volumes for the different auxiliary channels, the effects, the subgroups, and the VCAs. Don't worry about the names and terminologies of these for now. We'll go through everything with you when we have time, or I'll do another video. But essentially, if you wanted to, every single section here has its own master volume. So if I went into aux 3, you can see aux 3 has its own master volume, and then it's got all the different items for all 32 channels that are down here. The cool thing about going into this section here is if you just wanted to look at the master volumes for everything, how much, if you've got different effects here, what effect, it'll tell you what effect is on it there. But if you wanted to just purely go into just looking at where the master volumes are for each level, you can actually go in here and have a look, and you'll be able to see the bar, whether it's hitting yellow, green, or whether it's peaking in red. And you'll be able to make adjustments. If someone says something to you and they say, oh, I can't hear this or I can't hear that, you can actually come in here very quickly by just hitting that button, and you'll be able to see everything. Again, likewise, you can multi-select. If you only wanted to look at the aux channels, you can just click on aux, and it'll just show you the returns. You won't be bothered with seeing other things. But if you wanted to see the aux channels and you wanted to see the effects in conjunction with the aux, so you can spot something or troubleshoot something halfway through, you can do that, and that's fine. Now bear in mind that your streaming channels are going to be here as well, so you'll be able to see the overall volume going to the live stream. If someone came to you and they said, look, we think the volume on the live stream is low, rather than messing around, you just sort of come in here and have a quick look to see what's going on, and you'll access everything that you need. So that's section number 2. Okay, I'm going to quickly come out of this and go back into the main section. And the last section that you need to know about is here at the top. So here at the top, you'll see on the left hand side There are three options. Then you've got this sort of screen here, and this gives you important information about whatever it is you're currently looking at any given time. So I clicked on channel 6, it tells me what I'm in. I'm in channel 6. It also tells me what the volume level is on channel 6. It's minus 43 decibels, and if I obviously change that, it will keep going up and down and telling me what's happening. And it'll tell me that I'm in the fader. So if you ever get lost as to what you were just doing, someone taps you on the shoulder as you were doing something, and you want to come back to what you were doing last, it will actually give you an idea, and this might jog your memory and let you know where you are. I'm conscious I'm speaking fast. Apologies, but by all means, just ask me any questions you want, and I'll make sure I answer them, or just rewind the video. Now the last options are going to be on the right hand side of this menu here, this bar, and these last options deal with a few vital items that you'll need, and you also got your shows. So this is the first thing that you need to understand. You need to understand the layout of your mixer. You need to understand how it's been laid out, and how you can access, well, what's in those sections, how you can access those sections, and what those sections are for. The more you can pick up on this, the better it is for you, because it makes your job easier in knowing how you want to set your mixer up. Now, because this is a digital mixer and it's controlled digitally, you can set this up the way you want to. So for example, I'll go into here, the main section. I didn't even actually talk about this. These are your view groups. Now remember how we set up the drums, and we said the drums are going to be from channels 1 to 8 on the main mix. So I'll come out of here and I'll go back to all. Okay. What you can do is you can also set up a view group. Okay, and then you've got A to F, which is all 6 view groups, and you can also say drums. Okay, and remember we said the drums was kick, snare, hi-hat, first tom, second tom, third tom, overhead 1 and overhead 2. Okay, boom. So you've got your drums, and you wanted to just quickly go in and just only look at the drums. If you go into your view groups here, you could select just the drums, or you could multi-select. You want to see the drums and the singers just to see if the levels are looking good. You could do that. But yeah, you can just look at the drums, and that's all you can look at. And you don't have to worry about seeing too much on your screen. If you have singers that are dotted all across the board, and you've got a singer on channel 1, and then a singer on channel 17, and a singer on channel 22, you'd spend all day scrolling backwards and forwards to look at them. But if you set up a view group, you can have these singers all over the place. Hit a view group, and it'll just bring just the singers in front of you here, and then you don't have to worry too much about how am I supposed to check so-and-so's level in conjunction to the other person's level, A, B, C, D. It's all there for you. So that's view groups. So I'm going to go back to all. So we've basically broken down the mixing desk for you, and it's not as daunting once you know where everything is. And obviously I think you've probably already worked this out, that this will show you everything, multi-view. This will show you the actual desk, the faders, and this will show you an individual channel. And remember how I was telling you that this top section here is quite important, because say you wanted to look in an individual channel. Now obviously I'd changed something on channel, was it 6 or channel 8 or whatever. I'm in channel 6. If I hit that and then I forget, again someone taps me on the shoulder, this will tell me where I am. I'm in channel 6. I know it says it down there, but this top section here will give me information. It will tell me the volume's at 0 dB. I'm in the fader. It's channel 6. And all of a sudden I can see everything. But also notice, if I've put this channel 6, in a mute group, it will tell me which mute group I've put it in. And because I've named it drums, it will tell me, hey, by the way, you've put channel 6 in mute group for drums, and you've put it in the view group for drums as well. If I wanted to remove it for whatever reason, I can simply do so from here. I don't have to go back into those options and do so. I can do so from here. Again, you'll see your VCAs and your subs. We'll go into that later. But remember how I told you that the main will always show in gray. Okay. Going back into channel 6, channel 6. You see how that's highlighted in gray? So if I took it out from main and I went back in here, you'll see that channel 6 has been removed. So these guys literally thought about everything when they were creating this software package. So I mean, this was, for me, this was a major selling point. I had to have this. It wasn't even a case of do you want it or not. I had to have this particular device, because when I look at this, in the way my brain works, this is perfect. I want to be in a section. I mean, with Allen and Heath, it's a nightmare because you have to go through 3 sections to get to where you were, then come back 3 sections. And if you're trying to do something quite simple and straightforward, it's an absolute nightmare. So I'm not really a massive fan of Allen and Heath. But yeah, this video is purely just to give you an overview of how Master Fader works, what functions it has, and a general overview of where you can find things. So quickly before I end the video, I also want to show you, you've got the FX channel where you can add different effects. You can have up to 4 main effects. This channel here talks about what mixer you're connected to and what types of mixers you can connect to. Obviously we've got 32S, but you know they've got different products. There's the 32R I was talking about, then there's the 16s, the 1608, etc. And you know, if you wanted to look at what kind of features you'd get with these particular mixers, you can literally click into it and you can go into it and it'll show you what that mixer has to offer. But obviously we're just dealing with the DL32S. But if you wanted to connect to it, this is the section you go into. This also deals with setting up your routers and your Wi-Fi settings, your passwords, etc. This here is quick settings. Now over the phone we spoke about access limits, and you can see how you can limit access to certain things. So I say the subgroups, and then you can put in a pin 0, 0, 0, and then put the pin in again, and that's it. So when I go back into my mains here and I'm going to try and access the subgroups, those 4 subgroups no longer appear. I only have 5 and 6, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it on this device with regards to accessing those subgroups until the person who's locked it up for me comes in and puts in the correct pin. So what you'll be doing is on other people's devices, say you just want that individual to be able to view to only view their monitor mix, you'd come into the device, hit an easy way of doing it is just right clicking there and put everything on, and then you know that the drum is on, what we say, we put the drum on aux 1, didn't we? So the drum is on aux 1, and you come in here and you lock it, and you put in a pin that they will not know. So once that's been locked out, when that particular individual logs in to the mixer, all they will be able to see is just the aux 1. They can't do anything else. They can't see anything else. They can mute their own channel, but that's them. They're just purely muting their channel and what they can hear, and they can change the levels for the different things. They can't rename anything. They can't mess with your settings. They can't change the gain. They can't do nothing. And the only thing they have the option is of coming into here, which gives them some information about help and guides, and useless. They can't do anything until this gets unlocked. And once it's unlocked, then different things can be turned on and turned off. So I'm going to turn everything off because I don't want to mute. I don't want to block myself out from accessing this. But this is just general setup, you know, talk back. This next section here is a big section. So all these are all your gains for your different channels, and these are all your turning on and off the 48 volt. But here's all your routing, and we'll go into this later on. The last section here, we've gone into it, deals with soloing, muting, monitoring, talkback, etc., and your shows, where you'll save a lot of your settings. So I'm going to stop this video here, but this is pretty much just an overview so you can see how this particular thing works. Alright, man.